The following program is brought to you by Bruce Telecom.
I'd like to call to order this regular council meeting of the Council of the Town of Saugeen Shores. First item is declarations of pecuniary interest. I'll ask any member if they have a pecuniary interest with anything on the agenda. Being none, of course, you can declare one any time if you need to. We have no additions, deletions, or amendments, so that moves us on to adoption of minutes. And I have a motion moved by Councillor Carr, seconded by Councillor Schreider, that Council adopt the minutes of the inaugural Council meeting of December 3rd, 2018 as presented. Questions or comments to those minutes? Being none, all in favor? That's carried. That moves us then on past report of Committee of the Whole to report of municipal officers, and we have a few reports on there, beginning with a staff report on the Ontario Clean Water Agency contract renewal, and the Director of Infrastructure and Development has a report. Over to you.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. The Aqua contract is renewed every 5 years. Last year we renewed for 1 year only because we didn't have the Ministry of the Environment report on their inspections, and we didn't want to commit to 5 years or not commit to 5 years without that information. We did receive the score since then, and the Aqua was received a 96%. Over the last year, our relationship with Aqua has been strong, and we recommend extending the contract for a new 5-year term. So over the next year, we will work out the details on that contract with Aqua and bring back a contract for council to approve. So at this time, we're looking to recommend that extension, and we will give them the notice of the 1-year intention to extend.
Thank you. I have a resolution. I'll read it, and then we'll take any questions or comments from council. I have a motion moved by the Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Schreider, that the Town of Saugeen Shores notify the Ontario Clean Water Agency, Aqua, that the town wishes to renegotiate a new 5-year, January 1, 2020 to December 31st, 2024 service agreement with Aqua for the management, operation, and maintenance of the town's water and wastewater treatment, distribution, and collection facilities. Questions or comments from members of council? Councillor Mayette.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you, I wonder if the director could just one more time explain for clarity why we're going to have a 1 year for the year of 2019 and then a 5-year starting essentially a year from now.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. So in order for the contract to renew, we have to give them the notice 12 months in advance. So last year we had the option, it was going to be from 2019, the start of the new 5-year contract, but we wanted to wait the 1 year. So now we're at that point where we have to give them the notice of either to go to RFP, renew, or what other our options are. So this is a year ahead of when we actually get to the final contract.
Questions or comments? The Vice Deputy Mayor.
It's just a comment, really. Amanda, I just want to thank you for all your good work you did with, meeting with Aqua, and I wanted to congratulate Aqua too. Officials here this evening tonight, and the inspection score of 96.15. Things have been turned around. It's a very positive story, and people in Saugeen Shores have safe water. I know the one line in the report, continuity with operators of many years of experience, and isn't that so true? We've had a wonderful staff with Aqua that work very hard, very diligent, and it's nice to see that things have turned around nicely. And I just want to congratulate everyone for your job well done.
Thank you. Certainly echo those comments. Further comments or questions? Seeing none, you've heard the resolution. All in favor? Carried. Okay, that moves us on to the second staff report, request for proposal for the Port Elgin standpipe replacement, and the Director of Infrastructure and Development has the report.
Thank you, and again through you, Mr. Mayor. In 2015, the Water Financial Plan estimated that we would need $1.45 million to replace the water tower in Port Elgin. We worked with a consultant last year on the design of the tower. They gave us a pre-tender estimate of $1.8 million. We went to tender this fall, and unfortunately it came in at $2.5 million. What we're recommending to council is, instead of awarding that contract at that price, is that we go to a cost consultant because of the success we had with the police station. Doing the same thing, we'll invite 3 cost consultants to bid on looking at the project, going through the design drawings and the tendered values and coming up with cost savings. and being able to bring the tower down into our budget. The alternate that they may come back with is a new funding model that we would need to put into the new water financial plan in order to pay for a water tower at a higher cost. That's our recommendation tonight.
So I have a recommendation, then we can take questions or comments. It's a motion moved by Councillor Mayette, seconded by Councillor Smith, that council authorize town staff to retain a cost consultant to investigate cost-cutting measures for the design build of the Port Elgin standpipe replacement and provide recommendation for a path forward. Questions or comments to the resolution? I would just say that I think this is a good example of why that method that we use for the police building from the beginning is such a good method. And I think as we look at projects of this scale, you know, when you get into projects over $1 million or something, would be worthwhile, I think, for the administration to look at triggering cost consultants and project consultants for those projects, so that you know, hopefully we can have a better sense at the beginning of how to budget for some of these projects. I know the administration is working on some new concepts for how to budget for these. I think that's really good, and you know, I think this is a good opportunity for us to see how we can improve. So, you've heard the recommendation. All in favor? Great. Moves us then on to the third report, which is the staff report on the request for proposal for the Southampton Water Pollution Control Plant upgrade, Schedule C, Class EA, and the Director of Infrastructure and Development has the report.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, the Southampton Water Pollution Control Plant, or the sewage control plant, is at a point in its design capacity where we need to start looking at its future. We worked out a request for expression of interest for consultants. It was an open bid. They came back. We had 8 bidders come back. We narrowed that down to 5 and asked those 5 to come back with requests for proposals. We did a review of all the proposals as a 2-step process. The first being a non-technical analysis of their job, and then we opened the cost and scored the costs as well. So when you do that, Ainley and Associates, though they're not the lowest cost, came back as the highest score. A lot of this came from the number of hours and their solutions to some of the questions that were put through in the proposal. We liked the way that they proposed that, as well as they had a lot of things in their proposal that were specific to Saugeen Shores, and we felt that they would be the best consultant to move forward with. So we are recommending that we award this project to Ainley and Associates.
I have a resolution. We'll read it, and then we'll take any questions or comments. I have a motion moved by the Vice Deputy Mayor, seconded by Councillor Smith, that Council authorize town staff to award and retain Ainley and Associates Limited for the fee of $214,080 to complete a Schedule C municipal class environmental assessment for the Southampton Water Pollution Control Plant, and that the Mayor and Clerk be authorized to enter into a professional services agreement. Questions or comments from Council? Councillor Mayette.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and briefly through you, when you say they did a technical evaluation as well, are they making recommendations to the methodology under which the plant works? Because I understand that plant works under a different technology than the current larger plant that we have in Port Elgin. And does that mean that they're going to maybe change the technology to a more upgraded one, or expand the current methodologies?
So through you, Mr. Mayor, it's going to be a Schedule C Class EA. So those different alternatives will all be investigated. So the first will be the do nothing, leave it as is. Another one they spoke about is expanding the facility, a new facility. And then another one is looking at ways to reduce the flows coming into the plant that are known as infiltration and inflow. So they look at all those different alternatives. They'll come back with a preferred alternative, and then we'll look at the designs on how we can implement that design alternative. It's also a very public process, so through each stage there'll be 5 points of consultation with council and the public.
Councillor Grace.
Thank you. My question's been answered.
Questions? The Vice Deputy Mayor.
Yeah, it was really about the $45,000 spread, the difference through to the Director of Public Works, or Director of Engineering. You know, when you see 168,000 and you see 214, and it's $45,000 difference. Is it just, did it come down to really the level of confidence, I suppose, with Alien Associates Limited. I've been out there more so with doing projects of this nature. I mean, it's a fair spread, right? And can you just explain it quickly again, Amanda, why 1/2?
So through you, during the expression of interest, we gave everybody 20% of their final mark out of what they wrote in the expression of interest and how they ranked when we shortlisted them down to the 5. Then we gave 20% of their mark for detailed work and methodology, 10% to innovative ideas, 20% for schedule and cost control, and then 30% was for the financial piece, the cost. So when we look at the majority of it, 70% of their scoring is based on the things they said and how they proposed to get through the project with us. So they scored the highest on those pieces. And then their rank actually was dropped quite a bit because they're so much more expensive than the other ones. So if they had a cheaper price, they would have been far and above higher on the score.
Okay, thank you.
Anything further? Yes, Councillor Schreider.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. What is the duration for this phase of the project?
Mr. Mayor, it will take a year to get through this phase.
Thank you.
Any further? You've heard the resolution. All in favor? Okay, so there are no notices, motions or notices of motions. So that moves us on to bylaws, and we have one bylaw. Bylaw 87, 2018, to appoint a treasurer, Dan Wachter. And what is it? Waiter, thank you. Okay, so I have a motion moved by Councillor Schreider, seconded by the Deputy Mayor, that bylaw 87, 2018, being a bylaw to appoint a chief financial officer for the corporation of the town of Saugeen Shores, is hereby read a first, second, and third time and finally passed and sealed this 10th day of December, 2018. Are there any questions or comments to the bylaw?
And one quick question, and to you, to the CAO, David. We now have a chief financial officer in place and director of finance. Are we close? Are we pretty much in good shape in terms of staffing level now? And I know there's been significant changes in finance treasury. So.
Yes, through you, Mr. Mayor, absolutely. Our director of corporate services has a broad portfolio, and by appointing Dan as the CFO and the treasurer, that tops up that department currently, and we'll be moving forward with Sue's leadership as corporate services. Council will remember we have a plan to move our HR portfolio into corporate services. We plan on doing that in 2019, and our finance staff have been working extra diligently over 18 during this vacancy, and they're delighted that almost fully staffed. Yes.
Big smile on the Director of Corporate Services face there. And we would like to say, before we pass this bylaw, welcome to the town of Saugeen Shores to Mr. Waiter, and very eager to see his contributions to the corporation. So you've heard the bylaw. All in favor? Carried. All right, that moves us on to, item 10, the confirmatory bylaw, and I have a motion moved by Councillor Gray, seconded by Councillor Mayette, that bylaw 88, 2018, being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the Council of the Town of Saugeen Shores, is hereby read a first, second, and third time, finally passed and sealed this 10th day of December 2018. All in favor? That is carried. And finally, I have a motion moved by Councillor Smith, seconded by the Vice Deputy Mayor, that this regular council meeting of December 10th, 2018 hereby adjourns at 8:43 p.m. All in favor? That's carried. We are adjourned. Thank you all very much.
The preceding program was brought to you by Bruce Telecom.